Remember this video of Cook County Jail inmates beating up prison guards 7 years ago? Well, that was nothing compared to what Foolio's killers did to the prison guard in Hillsborough County Jail, punching, kicking, and knocking him to the ground like a street dude. Interestingly, everything was captured on jail surveillance video and is going viral. The disturbing footage. It has been months following the fatal murder of Foolio, but his name is still heavy on the internet because his killers won't stop making the news. Now it appears that one of Foolio's killers is going viral for giving a correctional officer the beating of their lives. Court documents show that Davian Murphy, the fifth suspect in Foolio's murder case, faces new charges after knocking to the floor a correctional officer with punches that almost sent him back to his maker. Now that might seem hardcore, but beating up prison guards only makes your time worse there. It's no surprise that fans are wondering why Davian Murphy would cook himself this bad. Well, according to the document, Davian Murphy has been giving guards a run for their money from the day he stepped foot behind bars, being disruptive and violent toward prison staff. I bet he was like, I'm already facing life. How worse can it get? It does get worse, fam. They're going to take away his commissary, phone access, and visits, and he probably loses all privileges. Yes, this is not a fight between an inmate and a guard. This is battery and assault on a correctional officer. Davian is cooked. All for what? According to the document, the victim, Deputy Katwaru, was parking up an inmate's property when the defendant approached the victim and inquired on why the inmate was relocating. You see, Davian was just being disruptive. Why not leave the guard to do his damn job? Here is where it gets bad. Within a split second, Davian Murphy became agitated and was ordered to the holding cell. But as expected, he refused all orders. The guard approached him and grabbed his left wrist for handcuffing. Then, in a dramatic turn of events, Davian swiftly turned around and used his right fist to punch the officer on the left shoulder. He kept punching until he knocked the guard to the floor. The violent incident was captured on jail surveillance video yet to be released. But this wouldn't be the first time jail surveillance footage captured inmates beating up prison guards. 7 years ago, Cook County, inmates were captured on camera feasting punches on 2 prison guards, beating them so badly they had to run for their lives. Guess what happened next? A troop of prison guards stormed in and arrested everyone involved. Someone said, easy 5 years minimum added to each inmate that threw a punch, and maybe a month in solitary confinement. But I guess that did not stop Foolio's killer from unleashing his rage on that guard. But to be honest, what did you expect from someone who ran from justice for 6 months? And when he finally got caught, he was smiling in his mugshot. Following the first rounds of arrests in the Foolio murder case, Davian Murphy escaped into thin air and remained low-key for 6 months, rendering every attempt at arresting him futile. At the time, I thought he fled to Africa, until January 6, 2025, when JSO arrested him in an apartment complex on LaBelle Street in Jacksonville. Everyone was shocked that the dude was lying low in Jacksonville, like, why would you stay in the same? NVM. That was my expression too. But it gets even deeper. When his arrest image was released, most people wondered why he looked happy in a deranged sort of way. But even at the time, fans knew that he was going to crash out when they handed him the life sentence. However, some fans thought he was truly happy because the stress of constantly looking over your shoulder for cops has been removed. Well, for a fact, being a fugitive of justice is no fun at all. But here is something fun. Police grabbed him on the 6th Elmau. Police was trolling. In case you don't understand the troll, back in the day, Foolio was called Lil 6 because he repped 6 Block. That's by the way. Let me bring you up to date on the Foolio murder case. When authorities launched the investigation into the murder of rapper Foolio, Isaiah Chance, Alicia Andrews, Sean Gathright, Rashad Murphy, and Davian Murphy were charged in connection to the murder. While the first 3 suspects were arrested and detained, Davian and Rashad Murphy took a run into hiding. Investigators revealed that there is sufficient evidence connecting all 5 suspects to the roles they played in the June 2024 shooting. Concerning that, earlier during Isaiah Chance's court hearing, the state filed a document requesting that the court deny him bond. Court documents show that Isaiah Chance told a Jacksonville Sheriff's Office detective that once he gets off the monitor, he would flee the state and never wants to be seen again. Isaiah Chance was wearing a tracking monitor and was under investigation for an unrelated offense. In compliance, a Hillsborough County judge denied bond for 3 suspects. During the pretrial detention hearing of Isaiah Chance 21, Alicia Andrews 21, and Sayan Gathright 18, the judge made the ruling that all 3 suspects be held in jail without bond until trial.
I'm finding that there is a substantial probability that all 3 defendants committed the dangerous crimes that they are charged with.
The judge noted that at the moment, 2 other men are facing charges in Foolio's murder, 2 brothers who were on the run like athletes in their prime. Interestingly, just like his brother, deputies and U.S. Marshals tracked Rashad Murphy, 30, to an apartment complex on Collins Road in Jacksonville on a Monday night. The sheriff's office reported that law enforcement arrived at the apartment just after 9 p.m. and began negotiating Murphy's surrender, evacuating residents as they did so. After nearly 12 hours of negotiation without Rashad's compliance, a sheriff's office SWAT team breached the apartment to try to force Murphy out. In the long run, seeing that he had no room for escape, Rashad Murphy surrendered to authority and gave himself up shortly after midnight. However, at the time, law enforcement was still searching for Davion Murphy, who had surprisingly maintained a low profile since the first arrests were made. Investigators hit the milestone in the case when Sean Gathright was caught slipping. On June 26th, JSO officers conducted a traffic stop on Gathright and located a Glock 9mm semi-automatic pistol in the center console of his car. A further search of the vehicle uncovered .223 rifle live rounds and 9 spent casings in son Gathwright's possession. Although the pistol did not match the spent casings collected from the scene of Julio Foolio's murder, police reports say the rifle casings found inside Gathwright's vehicle were a presumptive match to 2 prior shootings, a May homicide and a shooting on Oct. 7, 2023, which was an attempt on Foolio's life that left him grazed with a bullet in the foot. This prompted the police to search Gathwright's home, where more evidence linking him to the murder was discovered. Investigators discovered a gun safe with multiple rifles, including at least one equipped with a brass catcher, consistent with the one used for Julio Foolio's murder. Investigators also revealed that spent 9mm shell casings were also found in the safe, which was a presumptive match to the casings found at the scene of Jones's murder. I told you the police were all in this case. They are determined to send these dudes for a lifetime behind bars. Interestingly, this evidence and more still in discovery will do the job absolutely well. Additional documents showing ring camera video capturing Gathright, Chance, Andrews, and Davion Murphy at an Airbnb in Tampa, roughly 1 mile away from the scene of Foolio's murder, were also discovered. The Airbnb reservation was booked from June 22nd to June 24th under the name Rashad Murphy. It was believed that Alicia Andrews was on Instagram before the shooting, looking for someone to book an Airbnb for them, since no one did. The squad booked the Airbnb in Rashad Murphy's name and paid for it with Gudazi's Isaiah Chance Cash App. Police documents also show that investigators listened to LaShane's NHG jail call, which mentioned Gudaze, Tayshots, and LaShawn a day after the murder to build evidence. According to the doc, Shane made 2 calls of immediate interest, both using another inmate's call pin and a female to call another party on a 3-way. During the call, Shane referred to Isaiah Chance as Double G. Speaking to Tayshots, he said Double G did OT with the big rapper. Police identified the big rapper as Julio Foolio and OT as the name tag for the operation. According to the Tampa Police Department, all 5 suspects will serve the maximum term of life imprisonment for their individual roles in the murder of Julio Foolio. She explained, in clear terms, that regardless of who pulled the trigger, according to Florida state law, murder conspirators are liable for a life sentence.
In Florida, if you participate in the planning of a murder, you can be held accountable for the person's death. And that is what we intend to do here.
These dudes are going for life, especially because investigators tagged all suspects as documented members of NHG and ATK, which have been in rivalry with Julio Foolio's 6 Block and KTA known as Jacksonville's Deadly Gang War. Following the fatal death of 22-month-old Aiden McClendon, killed in 2016 as a result of gang violence in the city, an organized crime gang called PCE, or Problem Child Entertainment, was dismantled in a RICO trial that saw 10 of its senior members go to jail. Now, this fact is significant because the downfall of the PCE birthed a new influence in the Jacksonville drill culture, a young rapper by the name of Julio Foolio, the leader of the KTA. Julio Foolio is from the north side of Jacksonville, and in this video, Foolio testified that the north side is the most dangerous part of the city. Notable faces of the Kill Them All gang are mostly young boys from 6 Block Kojak, Zion Brown, Techie, Trey D, Kishorty, Spaz 2X, Lil Petey, Bibby, and Dirk. As time moved on, as earlier mentioned, the KTA allied with Slugga T's Young and Ruthless from A Block and Vontaland boys. Rod K and Mike K, KTA's biggest rival, is none other than the Grim Reaper of Jacksonville, Young Gene Ace. Ace started as a rapper with a crew of rap gangsters called the Young Gene Gang, founded by Flip Thigh Youngin and Trigger Romo. Ace's mastery of rap and street credibility brought to light other members of the crew, such as his blood brother Quan Quan, his homeboy 23, Kobe, Fast Money Goon, Rollo, Red Dot, D De Niro, Ray Spaz, Trey Shorty, Crazy K, Sosa, and Scotty. These are some of the most dangerous individual rappers in Duval County, mostly on the west side. However, along the way, Ace collaborated with some crews on the east side, forming a deadly alliance known as Ace's Top Killers, ATK. So ATK stretched its territory to cover Melvin Park, recruiting deadly gangsters like Xu, his brother Boss Goon, and ATK YBZ, also forming a strong affiliation with the crew known as the 1200. The 1200s hail from the 1200 block on the east side of Jacksonville. The crew was called 187, or Out West, back in the day. Some members of this group once identified as S4C, meaning Spaz for Corbin, a tribute to a fallen friend who was allegedly kidnapped by the KTAs, killed, dissed, and later found in the woods. Familiar faces of 1200 are people like Spinnabens and his brother Wappa with the chopper. So apparently the Jacksonville Deadly Gang War is basically north and south beefing west and east. Now that you are familiar with their faces, let's get into the gist. For the record, there is no absolute certainty when the beef between ATK and KTA started, but when asked about the causes of the violence in Jacksonville, Foolio pointed out 3 reasons.
Why do you think there is so much beef between the artists, though?
Yeah, really, it really be about respect. It be a respect thing, then it be a neighborhood where you from, and then it be their homeboys.
However, the most devastating escalation of the beef between the two crews unfolded on May 27, 2017. On this day, Foolio's cousin Zion Brown, aka Tweaking Jit, was killed in his home following a triple shooting that left his 2 sisters injured. According to police reports, Zion Brown was in the house with his little 16-year-old sister and their 9-year-old cousin when the intruder stormed in and started firing. By the time police arrived, they found 2 little girls injured and Zion Brown was fatally shot to death. According to the arrest warrant, the wounded 16-year-old girl told police that the shooter was Deontrea Thomas, ATK's Trey Shorty, who was previously charged as an accomplice in a robbery case involving Youngin Ace. At the time, police believed that Thomas had an accomplice, and the street quickly name-dropped Youngin Ace. The rumor was that Ace killed Zion, but Trey took the fall. Trey Shorty is currently serving life in jail for the murder. But why did Trey Shorty kill Zion Brown? Word on the street was that Zion Brown was not the target of the day. It was Y and R Tony Cho. It was rumored that Tony Cho robbed and shot Trey Shorty a week before, and Zion was falsely claiming the hit. So apparently the ATKs were out looking for Cho, who was at Zion's home, and when they arrived, everyone caught a bullet except Cho. Crazy, yeah? After the hit, even with Trey in jail, the KTAs were hungry for revenge. In fact, the atmosphere reeked of war, and everyone could smell it. For instance, during Ace's investigation, the investigator tried to warn Ace that the ATK would retaliate for Trey killing Zion.
Do you think they wanted us to arrest him for the murder of Zion Brown? Do you think that's what they wanted us to do? Hell no. They wanted his ass right there on the street so they could take care of him themselves. Whatever y'all did to them, and Zion came down, because you know as well as I do, y'all know who shot your boy.
However, by this time, the war had officially begun, but the ATKs were unaware that in the coming days, they would be faced with a tragedy equal to none in recent rap history. I'm talking about the tragic events of June 5th, 2018. On this day, Youngin Ace, his blood brother Quan, 23, and Corby were out for a celebration. It was 23's birthday. The squad stopped at the Wasabi Japanese Steakhouse, and in the spirit of celebration, they uploaded videos on social media that revealed their location to the ops.
We was coming from Wasabi. It was my little brother's 23th birthday.
Unfortunately, on their way back home, tragedy struck. News 4 Jax reported that a drive-by shooter or shooters followed the ATKs from St. John's Town Center to the Town Center Parkway at the traffic red light, where over 120 shots were fired, killing Quan with 3 shots, including a headshot. 23 shot almost 5 times, 4 shot 12 times, all died at the scene. Youngin Ace was the only survivor of the incident, with nearly 8 bullets buried in his body. I think the ATKs underestimated Y&R and KTA's capacity, a move over which Youngin Ace expressed regret.
See, we don't never go out to eat because we don't do nothing fun.
Right, yeah.
So that was like our first time going out like that. And like, I ain't gonna lie, we was slipping.
Ace fought for his life in the hospital while still fighting court cases because he was charged in that same case with possession of a firearm. He later recovered in what can only be described as a miracle. While Ace and the ATKs were mourning, Foolio and his gang were trolling and dissing, pissing on 23's grave, and all sorts of disrespect. The trolls hit so badly that Trey Shorty blamed himself for the hit. He posted a tribute on IG saying, "Sometimes I be feeling like it's all my fault. #ATK, RIP P. My La Brothers. Yup, he was referring to the Zion Brown hit. Now the dice is cast and both gangs are scrabbling for a better share of the beef. Following the attack on ATK, more bodies would begin to drop on both ends, and with them, more diss tracks. In no particular order, Trey D on the KTA was killed in a reunion party on the east side. Corbin, an ATK affiliate, went missing and wouldn't be heard from again. Boss Goon, Kasu's brother, who just got back from jail, was killed in a drive-by shooting after a block party. Then ATKs launched their first attempt on Foolio's life. According to JSO, a man was shot multiple times in his car by a drive-by dark truck SUV. Although the people in the SUV were unidentified by the police, Foolio knew exactly who his enemies were. Over 20 spent casing of an AR-15 was collected from the crime scene, and Foolio sustained an injury on his foot as a result of the attack.
Graze in the leg, stop playing.
Foolio confirmed that he grabbed his gun in the middle of the attack and fired back. Let me remind you that the police reported they found rifle casings in Gathwright's car that matched the casings collected from this particular crime scene, which is proof that the attempt on Foolio's life on this day was perpetrated by the ATK allied forces. However, Sean Gathwright is not a documented ATK member. He is probably a hitman chasing the bag on Foolio's head. Now, since killing Foolio had proved elusive, the next line of action was to go after his family.
What ultimately happened with your friend Bibby?
I go on Facebook. A little boy just got killed in the Hilltop, like 16. So I'm like, they're like, yeah, he had on a uniform.
The beef between these gangs became intense after the murder of Bibby, Foolio's favorite cousin. Foolio explained that despite cautioning Bibby about the violence in town and advising him to go to his grandmother's house, Bibby went to visit a friend at an apartment complex in Hilltop. Although he made it to Hilltop, he got attacked by the ATKs, and there, the gang smoked him. Eventually, Xu, Ace's affiliate, was charged with the murder, and if you know Xu, then you know a dangerous man. Violent as the storm, never gentle. He said he kills for no reason. Bibby's death sets the trend for a new wave of disses. You surely must remember the name Bibby from Ace's popular song, Who I Smoke, in which he dissed several dead KTA affiliates. In a shocking turn of events, Xu took the diss to another level when he used Bibby's picture as the cover of his latest album. He is currently serving life for the murder, but that did not calm the war as soon after. The KTAs would be hit with the most devastating turn of events in the Jacksonville deadly gang war. The end of war or the start of another?
All right, so here's what we know at this point. Around 4:40 this morning, we received a 911 call about a shooting that happened here in the parking lot behind me on McKinley and Fowler. What we have learned, and again, this is all very early in the investigation, is that 2 cars were shot at.
In the early hours of June 23rd, Julio Foolio met his death in a gruesome manner. His life was snatched right after celebrating his 26th birthday in Tampa, Florida. Tampa police confirmed that Julio Foolio was the only deceased of an intense shootout targeted at 2 cars on arrival at the parking lot. 3 other people were transported to the hospital in stable condition as a result of the shooting. Hold on a minute. How did we get here?
The pool party start the day at 5, 6 o'clock. If you already got the address, pull up, man. You got the address, pull up. If you need the address, DM me right now.
Julio Foolio's birthday was on the 21st of June, but the rapper wanted an extended birthday celebration, which was supposed to end on the 23rd of June. Julio Foolio promised a fun-filled pool party celebration for his 26th birthday. He posted the flyer online, invited everyone, and dropped the location for people to turn up. Unfortunately, Death wanted to party that weekend, and Foolio's invitation was open to everyone, so why not? Remember I told you at the beginning of this video that investigators revealed how the 5 suspects who are members of the Allied Gang Force drove from Jacksonville to Tampa a day before the shootout. They even booked an Airbnb for 2 days. Yes, you guessed right. They prepared for this day. Every move was calculated and with a certain degree of precision. Interestingly, a week before his death, Foolio had posted an invitation flyer of his birthday with the location disclosed on his social media. The first comment under the post was, "This getting shut up." Investigators believe that Julio Foolio was the target of a well-calculated and thought-out plan. In a surveillance video obtained from one of the suspects' home cameras, investigators claim Isaiah Chance, 21, and his girlfriend Alicia Andrews, also 21, and his killer squad tracked and followed Julio Foolio from Jacksonville to Tampa in a silver Chevy Cruze. More details show that the duo followed the rapper to 2 different locations on the nights of his birthday celebration on June 22nd. Surveillance video shows Isaiah Chance at both locations having a phone call conversation. It was later revealed that Chance was communicating with Alicia Andrews' phone, and he was communicating with Sean Gathwright, 18, who was in a second second suspect vehicle, a black Chevy Impala. According to police reports, the other passengers in the black Chevy Impala were the two brothers, Rashad Murphy and Davion Murphy. Investigators identified Rashad Murphy in surveillance footage obtained from Walmart, where he made a stop a night before the murder. In the video, he was seen wearing the same clothing consistent with Shooter 1, who fired the Glock switch pistol in the surveillance video from Holiday Inn the night of the murder. He was wearing a dark black hoodie, long dark black jeans with a rip on the left knee, and black military-style boots. Investigators also revealed that Rashad Murphy is left-handed, which is consistent with Shooter 1, who used his left hand in the shooting surveillance video. However, Foolio was making it easy for his enemies by dropping updates about the party online. Halfway into it, Foolio updated on his Instagram story that his party was kicked out of the Airbnb by the police because the population exceeded the occupancy limit of the Airbnb. Still, Foolio was not about to succumb to that glaring red flag his party was waving at him. He had planned to party all night, so he simply just shifted the party to a club. Investigators also tracked the suspect's vehicles at about the same club Julio Foolio went to. Soon the party was over. Julio Foolio had booked lodging at the Holiday Inn, Tampa, Florida, where he planned to retire for the night. So he drove down to the Holiday Inn alongside one other car. At this point, death was a step ahead of Foolio. As it turned out, Foolio's killers were already on location, patiently waiting for him to arrive. It was a dead-on arrival situation for Foolio. At around 4:40 in the morning, Tampa police received a call about a shootout at the parking lot of the Hotel Inn, Tampa, Florida. Police reported that they arrived at a grotesque crime scene. 2 cars were shot at with 4 people affected by the incident. As a result, 1 person was found dead at the crime scene, while 3 others were transported to the hospital, luckily in stable condition. Investigation into the murder revealed Isaiah Chance and his girlfriend, Alicia Andrews, on surveillance video pulling into the same Airbnb Foolio partied through the parking lot. A license plate reader search later confirmed both vehicles traveled from the Jacksonville area to the Tampa area before Foolio's murder, and then left the area the following afternoon. Investigators also revealed that the suspects sent several messages from the crime scene through their cell phone devices. Evidence shows that while Rashad Murphy was more likely without his phone during his time in Tampa, he sent messages through Sean Gathwright's phone. Gathwright's phone revealed that 2 messages were sent from the phone on the same day and about a few hours after the murder, while they were still at the Airbnb. One message reads, "I'm coming home. My thirst is quenched. Pop a bottle of Don Julio today, Murphy." And the other message reads, "I'm coming home. My thirst is quenched. I love you." It's actually funny how these dudes thought they were communicating in codes. I'm sure the police did not break a sweat in breaking that code. The post-homicide investigation revealed that Son Gathright drove the Impala to conceal it at a family member's house in Polk County, while Davion Murphy drove the suspect black Cruise back to Jacksonville alongside the other 3 defendants, Rashad Murphy, Isaiah Chance, and Alicia Andrews. Interestingly, right after the murder, Young Gene Ace dropped 2 diss tracks, Do It and Game Over. In these tracks, Young Gene Ace, while celebrating his victory, snitched on the whole operation. Young Gene Ace's Game Over is a clear message. There are certainly no 2 ways about it.
This got the Don Julio. Oh my God. Oh my God.
In the video, he was drinking Don Julio, a metaphoric representation of winning the game over Julio Foolio. The same metaphor Murphy used popped a bottle of Don Julio. Young Gene Ace is cold as ice. He dropped Game Over on the 28th of June at exactly 6 p.m. The title and the timing carry very disrespectful connotations because Foolio was also called Lil 6. Again, Young Gene Ace snitched on himself, this time with bars like, "Dead on the floor, dead on arrival, Mr. 6. I'm steady screaming out." Remember, Foolio was ambushed at the parking lot of the hotel he had just arrived. In all of these, what interests me the most is the fact Julio Foolio knew how the war was going to end. He said it himself.
Of the streets, if you in the streets and you grown, like, you know what the consequences are, you dead or you in jail.
If you love this video, click on the card showing on your screen right now for more videos.